Welcome back to your weekly roundup of everything that happened in Zenless Zone 0, where we will cover everything that you missed inside and outside of the game. How did everyone's Premier pools go? In the background are my pools, but I did promise myself first though that if I lost the 50-50, I would instead save the guarantee for Velina. But let me know in the comments down below how your pools went if you did pull for her. Otherwise, starting off with in-game news as always, aside from the currently ongoing Operation Save Bootopia event, we will also be getting new events on Wednesday, the Ultimate Verdict Trial, which will be the usual HIA combat trial stages, which will also give you a chance to trial out the brand new Premier, so you'll have a little bit more of a taste of how she plays in combat, and maybe that'll convince you to pull for her a bit more. And then on Friday, of course, will be the regularly scheduled Shiyu defense reset. The stage 1 buff for Shiyu defense will increase agent ice damage by 10%, as well as all anomaly proficiency by 40 points. And when an enemy is afflicted by an anomaly, the whole squad's Bloom damage will increase by 30%, and Blooms will also ignore 20% of the enemy's ice resistances. Obviously, this is here to shill for Premier, but even without the Bloom parts, Miyabi is still going to be salivating at those ice bonuses. Stage 2 will have both physical and electric damage increased by 20%, as well as crit damage increasing by 30%. And when hitting an enemy with a critical strike, it'll also lower their defenses by 10%. Obviously, the electric bonus here is to help out the recently released Sisia, but the physical damage bonus is kind of weird to see, honestly, since Starlight Billy isn't out just yet, so I guess this is just free shilling for Yexing Wang. As for stage 3, this will have an ether damage increase by 20%, with enemies recovering from stun 20% slower, and having their anomaly damage taken while stunned increased by 20% too. So in other words, send in the Angels of Delusion for this one. Moving on to the social media side of things though, we have another birthday, and that was for Pan Yin-Hu. So happy birthday to Pan, as well as anybody else who has a birthday in the coming week. But now, since it is a new patch with 2.8, that also means that the Twitch drops have also been refreshed. So once again, by simply watching anyone streaming in the Zenless Zone 0 category on Twitch, and of course having your account linked, you can earn yourself a handful of upgrade rewards as well as some polychrome. And also, if you would like to stand a chance to win a sparkling Wonderland mousepad featuring Anbi, Miyabi, Astra, Haramasa, and Ellen, then there's an ongoing Twitter event for judges flying kick training, i.e. Premier, where all you need to do to enter is follow the official Zenless Zone 0 Twitter account and then tap on one of the options in the linked tweet in the description below. There are also some freebies in some new little character avatar stickers featuring the patch highlights, Premier, and Starlight Billy. These are of course free to download using the link in the description below. And then moving on to the speculation zone. With 2.8 currently live, that also means that betas for patch 3.0 have begun, and we've already been getting quite a few bits of information coming out for season 3 with some interesting changes. The first thing to come out of patch 3.0 is a new hardcore game mode for the real gamers out there. This hardcore mode will consist of special stages where there is a 3-minute timer for you to clear the battle, as well as some boss specific challenges to clear in the stage 2. The enemies you face will be stronger, but most importantly, in the hard mode, you will be provided with pre-built trial agents, and you will not be able to use your own agents. So you can't just use your Mindscape 6 max refinement engine full 3-star premium team to just roll over any content here. Everyone will be on an even playing field, and the only thing separating you from anybody else playing will be your own skill level. If there are any Monster Hunter fans out there, think of it like the trial hunts. Now, this hardcore mode I think will be a pretty good chance for any of the serious gamers out there to test their skills and prove how good they are at the game. Now, maybe somewhat sadly though, is that this will be a similar to the tower mode, in that it will only be refreshing once every other patch most likely, if that even. I'm hoping that it will at least get refreshed somewhat often. Maybe every other patch they can add some of the recently released agents, but I know that they might not do that, since as a company, if you want to play as an agent, you know, a trial version of them even, they would want you to pull for them instead of just letting you use these trial versions in this hardcore mode. Also, in terms of how good the agents and their builds will be, don't get too excited just yet at the trial builds. If they're anything like the trial builds that we get in the stuff like story modes or the HIA trials, they might not be the best in slot builds that you would want. But arguably, again, maybe they should try to make the trial versions of the agents a little bit more premium-esque. Give them some mindscapes, give them their signature weapons and whatnot. Especially because, knowing the corpo greed, who knows, maybe giving people a taste of the premium, high mindscape, high refinement count engines might tempt people to pull for the agents a bit more. But that's for the hardcore game mode though. One of the other new things found in patch 3.0 is the introduction of a new mechanic, the dual defensive assists. If your squad consists of 2 agents that can perform defensive assists, then they can both participate in the parry and counter attack. So in other words, expect more and more agents to be releasing with defensive assists over evasive assists. Which, to be fair, there weren't that many agents with evasive assists to begin with, right? And if the enemy did have an attack that could only be avoided with an evasive assist instead of a defensive assist, so in other words, the attack with the red flash indicator, majority of the time, you would just use the on-field agent to dodge the attack and do their own counter-attack anyway, instead of switching to somebody else. So this new dual defensive assist mechanic can kind of technically be seen as an indirect nerf to any agent with an evasive assist, since they won't be able to take part in this double parry shenanigans, and so you'll almost always want at least 2 defensive assist characters on a team. In fact, you might want 3, because again, when are you ever evasive assisting? Meanwhile, defensive assist agents all have gotten better for simply just existing because they get to now use this new mechanic. And then we also got some information about the new agent banners for patch 3.1. Of course, Velina and Norma will be the headliners for patch 3.0, but in the patch after that, the first half of the banners will be REMIEL, and she is specifically listed as a special ether anomaly agent. No doubt she is an anomaly so that she can do some vortex shenanigans with the wind element, but clearly she is going to be some sort of Void Hunter-esque agent since she is also getting the special element treatment, similar to Miyabi, Yi Shen, and Ye Wang. The second agent to be expected in patch 3.1 will be Sigrid, the horse Theron with a big lance as her usual weapon. No element or class has been revealed as of yet for Sigrid though. But REMIEL being another ether agent is kind of funny though, because clearly once her banner arrives, we will be getting lots of content that will be geared towards REMIEL to shill her, which means buffs for ether and anomaly. So for the most part, Yi Shen will also still enjoy those buffs, and also specifically the Angels of Delusion 2, most notably Arya. But either way though, we are once again entering Anomaly Zone 0 yet again. Although I won't be surprised if the new gimmick or whatever it is they decide to add that makes it so that it is specifically catering towards the new anomaly agents involves having to use wind or something like that, or like vortexes specifically. Similar to how in Season 2, the miasmic shield was meant to be the thing that emphasized rupture and the new sheer force and the new Season 2 agents over Season 1 stuff. Maybe the buffs in Season 3 will be ether focused, but specifically like ether vortex focused or something like that. As for what Sigrid is, since I said there was no information about her, all we can do is speculate. Part of me wants to say, maybe it's just, you know, the obvious design choices, but I would want to say she would either be electric or ice just because she's blue. Probably ice since we've just had an electric agent releasing with Sissia not too long ago. And heaven forbid we get another electric agent, specifically an electric attacker agent. But also, because of the big lance, I just think of Monster Hunter and I think of a lance as a big defensive weapon. So maybe she's a defender agent, but if she is blue and it means ice or electric, then she might not be an ice defender because we just had Zhao as an ice defender, so maybe she'll be an electric defender? That's something new we haven't had, since it's like Seth, but he's an A rank. So I think my early guess will be electric defender, I suppose, which might not be a good thing, but hopefully they found a way to make defenders cool with Sigrid. But of course, this is all still very much far into the future, but knowing now that REMIEL is coming as soon as patch 3.1 does change some things. Has that changed your thoughts on who you're pulling for? Honestly, for me, it absolutely has. I was already holding off a little bit on getting Promea to make sure that I could guarantee Velina in 3.0 since it is the brand new wind element agent, which we don't know how often we'll be getting those. Hence why I said I stopped after I lost the 50-50 on Promea. But now, Norma might need to be a skip as well, if I want to make sure that I can guarantee pulling REMIEL and probably her engine too. But what about the rest of you though? How are you feeling about some of the new info from those betas here? Let me know down in the comments below, and otherwise, until next time, bye bye.